Welcome to Metals, Money, and Markets Weekly for week ending April 21st, 2017. With me, as always, is the Mercenary Geologist, Mickey Fulp, and from miningclips.com, I'm Rob Goodman. Well, Mickey, I had four things on my radar this week that caused some uncertainty in the markets. We've got the North Korea escalation. You've got yet another terror attack in France. You've got a big election, phase one of their elections over there with Marine Le Pen. Leading the way, some say. And you've got late in the day today, you had Trump sign an executive order that should kickstart tax reform. So with that being said, pretty flat week for the metals, but silver probably the big story. Essentially gave back its gains from the prior week.
Well, the precious metals were basically flat except for silver, which was down 3% to 1790. But they moved quite a bit over the week and ended up giving up some gains. Gold hit a 5-month high on Tuesday at 1295 thereabouts. It was low as 1277 yesterday, finished at 1284, lost $4. Platinum lost $2, closed at 970. Palladium also lost $2 to close at 792. So they're basically flat over the week. Copper had a very down week. I think this geopolitical risk has been weighing in on the base metals more than anything else. It closed at 253 for a drop of 1.5%, but it was as low as 251 on Wednesday, and that's a 3-month low. That said, it remains in a very positive forward curve, and I'm very bullish in copper in the short to mid term here. On our ratios, platinum to gold still remains very oversold at 0.76. So once again, we still have that buy signal for platinum. And then the energy markets, geez, what a week for oil. Very down week. Lost 6%, closed at 49.58. And in this case, I think the speculators moved in and said geopolitical risk be damned. And they paid attention to the U.S. rig count, which was up another 8 rigs, 40% year to date. Here's an interesting factoid for you. U.S. production last week at 9.3 million barrels. That's up over 700,000 barrels in 6 months since the oil price turned around. And once again, uranium's got no place to go. Negative once again, closed at 22.88, 2.5% loss.
And moving on to currencies, the dollar off a little, euro relatively flat, and the loonie was the big loser off 0.4%.
Yeah, we'll talk about loonie in a minute. Dollar spent most of the week below 100 for the first time in a month. Closed at 99.92 for a 0.6% loss. It's Trump's goal to weaken the U.S. dollar, which certainly helps U.S. trade. Euro 107 up 0.8%. The loonie, big loser of the week, 1.5% down, closed at 74 and pennies. And that 74-cent range, we haven't seen that. That's a year-to-date low. And I have to think that the oil price weighed on that. We had another major, Chevron exited the tar sands this week. So Alberta's tar sands are not economic at $50 oil. And the big oil companies are looking at U.S. shale as the way to go right now.
Moving on to the markets, I guess it'll remain to be seen next week about the Trump tax reform if it gets these things going, but not a whole lot of action. NASDAQ was probably the big winner, up 1.8%, and the venture off 0.4%.
Yeah, NASDAQ closed today just below its all-time high set yesterday at 59.11, up 1.8% for the week. Dow gained a half to 20,548. S&P 500, 23.49 for an 0.8% gain. The markets are nervous with North Korea, got the French election, you've got crude oil prices dropping, 6% this week. And the VIX is still at 14. That's not especially high, but it's relatively high since Trump was elected. So this all kind of weighed in. Finally, as you alluded to, Toronto Venture Exchange closed the week at 823, down 1.4%. I looked at it in very low volumes all week. I mean, we're trading less than 70,000 or 70 million shares on the venture exchange. And geez, you have to go back quite a ways to see a week with those low volumes. I think the big news for the week would have to be ATAC and Barrick entered into a big joint venture for their Rackla project in the eastern Yukon. I've been waiting for this to happen, Rob. I first approached the CEO of ATAC last summer after I visited that project. Very impressive Carlin type system, but in the middle of nowhere, and said, you need to get into bed with Barrick. I told him at the PDAC after Newmont had moved into the Yukon and Goldcorp, I said, when's Barrick going to do the JV? And sure enough, it came this week. So that's positive news for the Yukon.
Hey, we'll take it. We'll catch up with you next week, Mickey. A lot of news out here this weekend, so we'll see how the French elections go, and look forward to getting your insight next week.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rob.